Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
There will be a brief ad at the end of this video. Now, several people sent me this story, and this is a crazy one from WPXI.com. Woman buys land from PennDOT, Department of Transportation, to build a house and finds out the previous owner sold it due to landslide. But not that a house was sold, the property was sold. So Rick Earl wrote this for Channel 11. He's their chief investigative reporter. A woman bought land from PennDOT and built a house on it, only to find out that PennDOT had purchased the land from the previous owner because of a landslide problem the property was having. Property had a landslide issue. And you hear about things that happen to homes, especially like in the Midwest and so on. You think of like flooding and so on. A landslide? Chief investigator Rick Earl's been digging into this to try to figure out how it happened. The woman purchased the land from PennDOT and built a house, only to find out that PennDOT had purchased the land from the previous owner because of the unstable hillside. So there's an unstable hillside that's somehow the responsibility of PennDOT. So PennDOT declined to answer questions from the TV station, citing the possibility of pending legal action. So the reporter tracked down the previous owner and also the former PennDOT district engineer who was in charge of this back in the early 1990s. And this is, of course, happening in Allegheny County. So after repeated issues with the hillside sliding behind his home in Ross Township, just outside of Pittsburgh, a man named Robert said that PennDOT agreed to purchase his house and the land. They did tell me that land will never be sold or the old property will never be built upon. So after evaluating the hillside and taking core samples, the man said that PennDOT initially offered a couple of solutions. They said, well, we can put a wall up, but we can't guarantee the wall will hold. And one of them came to me personally on the side and said, with everything considered, I think it's best that we just take the house. So there was a house on the property and then the land behind it, which apparently is the responsibility of PennDOT, and this land is sliding, i.e. a landslide. So the man said they bought the house from him for fair market value. And so he went and bought a house someplace else. He never heard anything more about his former home or property until now. And so the woman says, I was driving around looking for a house and I found this empty property. 14 years after that man had sold it to PennDOT, PennDOT sold the property to her. Now, the house wasn't there anymore. So it looked like vacant land. She paid $15,000 for the land, $15,000. So in the late 2000s, she decided to build the home on the property, and then her contractor discovered the foundation of the old home was still there. So that's where this starts getting interesting, because if the builder discovered that, it means they didn't know any of this. And I understand that some of you are saying, Steve, come on, Captain Obvious, tell us something we don't know already. No, but the point is, the house got knocked down, and apparently the property was moved around or touched in some way so as to put the foundation out of view. And so if somebody comes by and buys the property and then says, we're going to build on the property, you got to pull permits and stuff. So when you pull permits, you got to go down to wherever the permits are handed out and talk to them about, oh, we're going to build a house here. Somebody is going to pull the records for that property, and somebody should spot that, oh, there used to be a house there. And then the question becomes, why does nobody ask the question, there used to be a house here, where did it go? So the woman says, it blew me away. I was just stunned, and I said, what? And he explained it to me. So she had a contractor remove the old foundation, and she didn't think much about it until she began having repeated flooding issues in her basement. But then this past spring, things took an ugly turn. The steep hillside that goes up to Perrysville Avenue began moving toward her house. So the land is sliding once again. And I suspect that what the problem here is, of course, is that there's this land that goes up to Perrysville Avenue. Perrysville Avenue is maintained, I'm guessing, by PennDOT, which would explain why they're involved here, and that this side of this hill is unstable. And it's been unstable for quite some time. So there's a crater now on the hillside where the earth moved. And she's shown the TV station a wood fence that used to be back there, apparently that came down when the earth moved. She said it's probably 5 feet away, and every time we get a big rain, it's going to get closer and closer, and my home insurance won't touch it. TV station discovered a deed that indicated PennDOT planned to condemn the property when they purchased it from the guy before, back in 1992. They planned to condemn the property, but apparently they didn't condemn it. So even though she bought the property as is, she says PennDOT never told her about a house or anything else being there and all the problems. So she said she had no idea about any of these issues and would not have bought the house and certainly wouldn't be thinking about building. And then why buy a piece of land? Because if you can't put anything on it, what good is it? But again, like we're talking about, is that they planned to condemn the property, but they didn't. But they've got knowledge of the fact that there's something wrong with this property. Some people are going to say, Steve, she bought the property as is. Well, interestingly enough, the concept of as is, as we usually talk about on this channel, has to do with the sale of goods arising from the Uniform Commercial Code. Uniform Commercial Code does not apply here because these aren't goods. This is real estate. This is real property. So what happens when you're buying a piece of property as is? Remember, there's nothing on this property except a buried foundation that she didn't know about. As is means you're getting it with all its faults and so on. But if somebody is selling you something and they know something about it and they don't tell you despite the fact it would be material to the transaction, they can't go, well, I sold you as is, so I didn't tell you. Well, no, what we're talking about is somebody not disclosing something to you would be misrepresentation, okay? It's not out-and-out fraud unless they lied to you about it, but it'd be misrepresentation at common law. The question then becomes, can you charge the government with institutional knowledge? That is, someone knows about this in the government and someone else is dealing with you. Can you say this person should have known? And you probably can. But then the question is, can you sue the state for selling you a piece of property that should have been condemned but wasn't? Because many states talk about whether or not you can sue them at all in their own laws. And there's certain things you can sue them for and certain things you cannot sue them for. So the woman now says she spent more than $30,000 of her own money trying to fix this problem, and she filed a claim against PennDOT, but they denied it. So TV station reached out to PennDOT, but citing potential litigation, they declined to comment. So there isn't litigation yet, or at least there wasn't as of the time of this story, but they've said we can't talk. So she says now that she can't sell the home, and it would cost her too much to fix it. It might not even be fixable. So she doesn't want to move, and said she just wants PennDOT to make it right. Because for her to move and not be able to sell the house means she's got to abandon the house. I don't want to lose my house. I want the state to rectify the issue and fix the damage, she said. They sold it without disclosing to me. My house is unsellable. I'm not asking them to build me a mansion. I just want them to make me whole. Fix it so it doesn't happen again. So the man who owned the house originally that got knocked down says the woman needs help. She suffered a grave injustice that she should never have incurred to no fault of her own. Somebody's got to be held responsible. So there are other homes in the area, but they've not been impacted by that particular hillside and it sliding. TV station tracked down former PennDOT district engineer who confirmed that PennDOT purchased the land because of the slide. But that man retired and said he doesn't know why the land was sold to this woman. And of course, this woman said she considered filing a lawsuit, but attorneys have told her it would cost a lot of money and it's unclear if she'd win. So they both reached out separately to the state lawmakers, that is the woman who owns the house and the TV station, but have gotten no assistance. And the TV station reached out to the lieutenant governor who said he is now looking into this. So it's a really weird situation. And it does make you wonder. The state comes along through the Department of Transportation and buys someone's house because they are in control of the property behind it and the land behind it. They can't keep this land from sliding down. It's probably going to wreck this guy's house. So they say, okay, here's what we're doing to condemn your house. They buy the house from him at fair market value. He's happy, he leaves. They level the house, clean it all up, make it look nice, and it's just sitting there. And then the property goes up for sale. Now, why someone didn't flag this and say, no, this property is condemned. It can't be used for anything other than just sit there and look at a vacant lot. And so for whatever reason, it got sold. Now, I do have some questions that I would like to ask, and I'm curious to know how it's possible that somebody, and there's more than one person involved here, because to build a house and a contractor and all that stuff, somebody had to go in and look at property records, and somebody, I think, wouldn't somebody have spotted the fact that there in this chain of title, there's the Department of Transportation, and then there's a homeowner. Where did the home go? And in case you don't know, if you get a building demolished, generally speaking, you follow the rules, quite often you got to pull a demolition permit. So if somebody had gone and looked at the permits that had been pulled in this property, they would have seen, oh, demolition permit. By the way, if there was a septic system with the house as opposed to being on a sewer, there would probably also have to be a record of the septic system being pulled out or remediated. And so there would be a bunch of papers indicating there had been a house there. Why was the house torn down? And so all you got to do is ask yourself, why is this house torn down because of these various permits we found? And why is the owner the Department of Transportation? And I'm wondering how nobody caught that. That's weird to me. But unfortunately, there's a chance that this woman is out of luck based on the state of the law, because in most states, you can only sue them, the state, if they let you. And there's certain categories for which you can sue them. So for instance, I'll give you an example. The negligent operation of an automobile by a state employee. So if a state employee on company time is driving a state car and they run you over, yeah, you can sue the state for that, because that's an exception to the rule saying you can't sue them. And so here we've got a situation where she bought a piece of property from the state, and it turns out the property's got issues. Is that something she can sue them for? And it probably isn't. That's the scary part. But it's a situation where I think that somebody needs to look at this at the government level and say, okay, the fact that she can't sue us doesn't mean we should let her just go. We should do something here, because mistakes were made, and mistakes were made by people in the government. Because when the property was condemned, apparently they condemned the house, leveled the house, but then made no note of that in the property and didn't flag it so it wouldn't go up as something like a surplus property sale, auction, and that should have happened also. So it's a weird story. It's a nightmare. You build a house and there's a big old hill behind you, and every so often it moves towards you. And that's the kind of thing you can't outrun, and obviously you can't move your house. So, like I said, got the story from a lot of people. Thank you very much. From WPXI, Rick Earl is the Channel 11 chief investigative reporter. Tracked down a bunch of interesting people here that really fleshes this story out. Woman buys land from PennDOT to build home and finds out previous owner sold it due to a landslide, and the house got leveled previously. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye. I told you at the top there'd be an ad at the end of the video, and we're here to talk about Factor, and I've talked about them before. I love Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. A team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. And as I always do, I'm going to show you right down in this corner how easy it is. The box shows up, slice it open, grab a meal, stick it in the microwave oven after poking holes in the plastic. 2 minutes later, you pull it out, you eat it. It's delicious. You can't beat that. I'm going to tell you right now, recently, daylight savings time happened. They every year, right around the same time each year, they get rid of it. And suddenly, it's dark sooner. The days seem shorter. It makes you feel like you've got less time. At least it does for me. Where did my day go? And so I'm always looking for things I can do that will save me time. And if I can save myself time, I'm like, yes, I can do something more useful. And so here's the thing. Quite often, when it comes to feeding myself, to eating, I often skip meals because I haven't got that kind of time. Well, you got no excuse. It's only going to take you 2 minutes to prepare your meal. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50 Lehto's Law to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50 Lehto's Law. Notice it's switched. The 50's in front now. Just doing that to keep you on your toes. At factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. And so the box that I unloaded on camera that you're watching right down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Hang on. Oh, I'm sorry, bottom left-hand corner. See, I'm on the other side of the screen from you. Here's what I got. Spinach and mushroom chicken thighs with creamy Parmesan and white wine sauce. Again, meals I'd never make for myself. Meals you'd expect to see only being described like, say, a restaurant or something, right? So, chicken Florentine with spinach and garlic chili cauliflower. Black pepper and sage pork chop with smoked cheddar Brussels sprouts and creamy broccoli. And again, keep in mind that these are complete meals. Not just a protein, not just a vegetable. Roasted veggie and pesto tortellini. I love my tortellini. Vegan mushroom marsala. And Tex-Mex beef bowl with green chili, cheese sauce, and cauliflower rice. So the assortment is amazing. The variety is amazing. And I always tell people, I said, look, you can go onto their website, check out all the different things they've got to offer, different, not just meals, but different plans. But I actually just go there and just give me an assortment. Surprise me. And I'm always pleasantly surprised. So the ready-to-eat meals are delicious. They're stress-free. Each one is fresh, never frozen, chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, and ready to eat in 2 minutes. Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long. So it's everything. It's comprehensive. You name it, they got it. Okay, just go there and look at it. One of the things I can tell you is that you've probably heard me talk about this before because I've been talking about Factor now for over a year. And if you haven't gone and looked at the website yet, just go and look at the website and just look at the variety they've got there. And that's a thing. And I know that not everyone's like me, but I've heard from quite a few people who are. And I tend to get in ruts because I don't feel like I've got a lot of time, and I haven't got the inclination to actually go and find some fancy meal, get the recipe, go buy all the ingredients, prepare it, make a big mess, eat the food, then do the big cleanup. And that is always such a daunting idea to me that I never do it. So I would often find myself eating the same thing over and over and over again until Factor came along and solved that problem for me. It'll solve it for you also. So again, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code 50 Lehto's Law. Again, the 50 goes in the front to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50 Lehto's Law at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Drive it like you stole it, Steve.